Hi everyone, it's nice having you here on this fine Friday. We are gonna play Clues by Sam again today, and we have a hard one this time. It is, yesterday's was a tricky one, and it was very tricky, but today we have a hard one, so this weekend has a lot of potential. If you're new here, we play this game every day on the channel, and it is a puzzle where there are 20 people. Each of them may be a criminal or an innocent, and they give us clues, and they never lie, so we can figure out which is which. And you can play the previous puzzles from the week if we roll down here of the current puzzle, the daily one. There's a link to all of the puzzles of the week up to Monday, so you can do that if you want to. If you want to play along, the link is in the description. I'm going to start mine right now and explain my logic as I go. So let's start. Start with Ruth telling us that exactly 2 of Steve's 4 criminal neighbors also neighbor Olaf. Okay, so Steve shares 2 people with Olaf, Martin and Tina. Both of those have to be criminal, right? Because exactly 2 of Steve's neighbors also neighbor Olaf, who are criminals. So Martin and Tina are criminals, and Ruth also tells us that Steve has 2 more criminal neighbors. So we're gonna leave that clue there to remind us of that. Martin says that there are more incidents in row 4 than row 5. We don't know how many are total in any of those, so let's leave that clue there too. Tina says that an odd number of Steve's neighbors in row 5 are innocents. So we know that at most Steve could have, because he has 3 people neighboring him in row 5, he could have 3 innocents, right? That would make an odd number, so that's good. But if we look at that and we look at Martin's clue saying that there has to be more innocents in row 5 than in row 4 than row 5, in case of all 3 people who neighbor Steve in row 5 being innocents, there wouldn't be enough people in row 4 to be innocents and make more innocents than row 5, because there's only 3 people who could be innocents in row 4. So that makes us sure that there's only 1 innocent here, neighboring Steve in row 5, and 2 criminals. Because the other possible odd number besides 3 innocents neighboring Steve in row 5 is 1, right? So we know there's 1 here. And the 2 missing criminal neighbors for Steve are here, Vera and Sola in this case, but they can change positions here. But that makes Keith and Logan both innocents, right? Because all criminal neighbors for Steve are already accounted for. So we know that Keith and Logan are innocents. We don't need Ruth's clue anymore. And I guess we don't need Martin's clue anymore. But I'm probably gonna mix them up later when I have to remind myself of that. Let's see how that goes. Keith now says that each row has at least 2 criminals. So we know that row 4 needs a second criminal, right? Let's say that's Umer. Let's just suppose that it was Umer. Then that would make it possible only for 2 people in row 4 to be innocents at most. And in that case, if we have 1 innocent already here in row 5, and we need row 5 to have less innocents than row 4, we know that the single innocent neighboring Steve is the most innocents there could be in row 4. So that there is a scenario where it's possible for row 4 to have more innocents in row 5. So we know now that Steve and Umer are opposites. And we know that Zoe, that doesn't neighbor Steve in row 5, is for sure not a single innocent in that row. We don't need, I guess we do need Keith's clue because it reminds us of the other 2 rows that we haven't. Oh, row 3 also needs a second criminal, so Olaf has to be a criminal. Okay. Logan says there's an odd number of criminals in column A. Okay. So we could have all 3 people left in column A be criminals, because that will make an odd number, but we could have only one of them also. So Zoe says that Betsy is one of 3 criminals in column B. So we have Betsy, a criminal, and there's 2 more, but 3 people left. Olaf says that Vera has exactly 2 innocent neighbors. So we know that Vera has 1 innocent neighbor already, that's Ruth, and she has also Steven Wanda neighboring her. So one of them only is gonna be Vera's second and last innocent neighbor, and that puts the second criminal in column B, right? Because the other person here neighboring Vera is gonna be a criminal. And we know that column B has 3 criminals from Zoe's clue here, so we need a third person to be Habiba, and we don't need Zoe's clue anymore. Habiba says that only 1 innocent in the corner has a criminal directly below them. Okay, so we have 2 people in corners who have nobody below them. Both Vera and Zoe have nobody below them, so they couldn't have criminals below them. That means that either Alice or Eli have a criminal below them, and they're gonna be the only criminal below somebody in a corner. So they are opposites. Right? That gives a second criminal to row 2. We don't need... they are not opposites, okay. It's important to notice that it says that only 1 innocent in a corner has a criminal below them. So that means that if these 2 people are innocents, it could be that Gabe and Joyce are opposites because only one of them could have a criminal below them. But if Eli, for example, here is a criminal, it doesn't matter that Joyce is a criminal because there's only 1 innocent in a corner with a criminal below them. So we're not really sure yet that Gabe and Joyce are opposites. What else do we know? Martin has exactly 6 criminal neighbors, says Betsy. So Martin is gonna have 4 criminal neighbors. He has Habiba, Olaf, and Tina. So far, that's 3. The 4th one is gonna be here in row 4 because Steve and Umar both neighbor Martin and they are opposites. So that's 4. He needs 2 more, and there's only 2 more people neighboring him, Igor and Joyce. So those 2 have to be criminals too. We don't need Betsy's clue anymore now. Again, we still don't know if the people in the corner are both innocent, so Joyce being a criminal doesn't determine Gabe yet. Joyce says there are exactly 3 innocents below Alice. Okay, so we know that Gabe and Vera are opposites. That's one thing. It all depends on Alice. We need row 1 to have a second criminal, but we don't know who that is yet. What else do we know? We don't need Vera's clue, Olaf's clue about Vera anymore. There's an odd number of criminals in column A, so now we know that Gabe and Vera are opposites, right? So that determines that there is only 1 criminal in column A, because if Alice is a criminal and the other criminal below her is also the only criminal, that will make 2, right? And 2 is an even number, so we need Alice to be an innocent. Now, what clue was that? Joyce's clue and Logan's clue we don't need anymore. Alice now says there's only 1 innocent to the left of Zola. Okay, so the single innocent in row 5, the neighbor Steve, is to the left of Zola, which means that Zola herself is not an innocent. Now Zola says that exactly 1 innocent in row 1 is neighboring Betsy. In row 1, Betsy already has Alice as a neighbor, so that makes David, who also neighbors her, a criminal. We don't need Zola's clue anymore now. Also, Alice being an innocent doesn't determine Gabe because it could be that Eli is a criminal, so we have to figure that out. David says there are more innocents in column B than column D. So we know there's 2 innocents in column B, which means there couldn't be 2 innocents in column D. So we know that Eli and Umar are not both innocents, but they could be one of them innocent and the other one a criminal. So what disambiguates that? I guess it's just this chain here, because if Umar is an innocent, he would make Steve a criminal, which would make Wanda an innocent. And that would make Vera a criminal, because these guys are opposites as well, just have no way of tagging them in a practical way. Vera being a criminal would make Gabe an innocent, and that would force Eli to be an innocent as well, because we need one innocent in row 1 with a criminal below them, and it couldn't be Alice because now she has an innocent below her. So if we change the scenario here and invert the chain, we make Umar a criminal, that will make Steve an innocent, which would make Wanda a criminal, which would make Vera an innocent, which would make Gabe a criminal. And now we have Alice being an innocent with a criminal below her. And Eli couldn't be an innocent because he would be a second innocent in row 1 with a criminal below them. So Eli for sure has to be a criminal. And we also know that Gabe has to be a criminal because of Alice, which makes Vera an innocent, which makes Wanda a criminal, which makes Steve an innocent, and Umar a criminal. Very nice chain going backwards after I proved. Only 25% of the people have a perfect. So yeah, that was really tricky there. The path you had to take. But very good. Very good. I'm interested in seeing what Eli says. Remember the first puzzle in May 2025? I saw it coming before that. That's good. Really good. I love it. I love it. It was quick. Very quick. I didn't find it as hard. Like, I think I have more trouble. Maybe we can put some statistics together of me as a person, the things I have more trouble with. Chaining is definitely something I don't have a trouble with, but sometimes when I have to explain a scenario like I did yesterday, where there's like several combinations that work but affect other combinations, then I end up getting lost in the sauce as I explain it. And I hope I did put a good example of how you can keep track of things today, both with the clues and saying things out loud as you're determining them. Or you can use pen and paper to write it down, like what a person can be and what a person can't be once you prove it, to help you remember. So that would be good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll leave you here for today, and I'll see you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.